$5 extra? So what I put together for you guys today is a quick workshop on how to use LinkedIn, but mostly it's about, am I in the frame? But mostly it's about,
yeah.
Okay. Mostly it's about personal branding and your own image and then interviewing and the whole recruiting process. So this workshop is mostly about how to get a job when you graduate, because that's pretty useful for you guys and it's what I just finished doing. So let's see. So what are some things you guys have heard at like typical career workshops, or whenever like guest speakers come in, or like what's the typical stuff that you guys hear? Yes.
Never meet too many people.
Okay, you can never meet too many people.
Also, just like whenever you hear about them, it's always usually the opportunities in like their field of expertise, you know, versus like, oh, you can use these skills in something else. But I mean, obviously, you gear toward them.
Okay, so not a lot of transferable skills, mostly like industry-specific stuff. All right. What else?
In particular, I've heard that LinkedIn gets you hired, Facebook gets you fired.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. Okay. Alright, so yeah, that's basic stuff that most workshops are going to tell you. So most workshops are going to tell you like what to wear, how to dress, what to say, handshakes, eye contact, have a professional online presence, and that recruiters are going to Google you. Like that's the most you're going to get out of the typical workshops. I know it's because I've been to like hundreds of them. And so this is like mostly what you're going to get out of them. But today what I wanted to tell you guys is stuff that I've learned and that my peers have learned through a lot of trial and error, and it's the things that the recruiters don't really want you to know, because they're kind of it's called the secrets of seminal success is the name of the workshop. So they're the secrets that we've kind of picked up along the way that get you into their mind, and they don't really want you to know that because it makes you a much more competitive candidate and it makes their job a lot harder. So let's make their job a little bit harder. Alright, so why is networking so scary? Are you guys scared of that word? Like, is networking a scary word to you? You're not scared of networking?
It was when I first heard it.
Oh my god, I was terrified. So the first time that I ever had to do any networking, I was a sophomore, and I just got an internship, and I went back home to Sarasota, and I had to go to this like really big function that was all these professionals in the area, and I had my business cards that were printed out with the company name on them, and I had my suit, and I was like, I'm a grown-up? What? Like, no, I'm like 19. I don't know what I'm doing at all. So I had to introduce myself as a legit like agent of this business and with my card and pretend like I had any kind of expertise. And it was so weird talking to grown-ups, because the things that grown-ups think are interesting are not the things that I think are interesting, right? Like I'm watching Jersey Shore, like I'm hanging out with my friends, and like I don't even know what grown-ups think about or what they think is cool or how to talk to them or how to make small talk or how to not be super awkward. Or I'm always afraid that they're going to figure out that I'm a kid and they're not taking me seriously. So the things that I was thinking, you guys are all pros, so you don't actually get afraid of networking. But I was terrified of the idea of talking to grown-ups, because that was not something that I spent a lot of time doing. So I did a lot of things to help myself get over that fear of networking, which is essentially, I think, talking to grown-ups. So the reason why I think that people think that networking is scary is because they either don't do it very much, or they're afraid of the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen. They feel like they're going to get figured out, which is what I was afraid of. So the best way to overcome that is to practice. Your question?
I think the scariest thing about networking is them having expectations of you, like them expecting you to know things that you don't think you know, or like I think asking questions where you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a kid. So yeah, there's a lot of expectations, and you don't really know how to overcome those. So things that I would practice, like the best way to do is just keep practicing. So go to this networking lunch every single week with my boss. I'd have my cards, I'd be in my suit, and then actually by the end of it, they asked me to be a guest speaker for like the whole lunch table, and they filmed me and put it on the internet, and they had me talk about like being a student entrepreneur and what it means to be a young person in school and then also in my own company. And I was like their guest speaker at the end of the workshop. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I overcame my fear of networking, but I think that most people are afraid of it because it's unknown, they haven't practiced it, they don't really know what to expect. And so we're going to talk about what to expect. So the first question I think you should ask yourself is, how do recruiters get paid? Right? Because if they're the ones that choose who gets hired, wouldn't you like to know how they're getting compensated for that? Do you know how they're going to get paid? So does anyone know how a recruiter gets paid? Anyone ever thought about that? Yeah.
How many people that they get hired?
Yeah, so first of all, is recruiting a sales job or an HR job?
HR.
No, it's not an HR job. It's a sales job. Recruiting is 100% a sales job. And just like you get commission when you sell a car, or you sell a suit, or you sell a software system, you get commission when you sell a person. Yes.
We're recruiting like quality or not quantity, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it depends. It's not the number, you don't have like necessarily a quota of the number of people you need to bring in, but they want to hire really good quality people that are going to be good for the position, that are going to stay there for a long time, and that are going to make the company lots of money, right? So it's bad when they hire somebody that they spend a lot of money training and then that person leaves. That's really bad. That looks bad on them. It's bad when they hire someone, they spend a lot of money training them, and then they go to work for some competitor. That's not ideal. They don't want that. They want someone that's going to be good with the culture of the company, that's going to fit well with them, and that's going to stay for a long time, and that's going to make the business a lot of money. And then the recruiter's career path is, do they want to be recruiting for college students forever? Probably not. They would probably want to be recruiting for like bigger executives. And so they do that by proving, I did a really good job hiring all these college kids out of school in these entry-level positions. They all stayed there for a long time. Now they're executives. I want to move up in my career to be hiring for bigger level salaries. Instead of hiring $30,000 jobs a year, I want to hire for $60,000 a year, for $100,000 jobs a year. So think about the recruiter's world. Because when you think about how the recruiter lives their life, then you know that when you're sitting at the other end of the table from them in the interview, you guys are on the same team. You guys are not adversaries. Like, they want to choose someone who's going to be perfect for this job so they can get more money. You want to get chosen for this job because you know you're perfect and you want to get more money. You guys are on the same team. So if you think about it that way, then you know that the recruiter and you're not adversaries. You guys are teammates, and you can help each other to get the most beneficial outcome, which is you getting hired for that job, right? So everyone understand that concept? It's really different that no one has really talked about before, because it's really interesting to think about how the recruiter spends their day and what their goals are and how you can help them get their goals. So it's kind of like the Jerry Maguire thing, help me help you, right? That's what you want to do. So what are recruiters looking for? What do you guys think they're looking for in a candidate? Yeah.
Someone that fits, like you were just saying, their company profile.
Okay, so fits their culture really well.
GPA experience.
Okay, GPA and experience.
Somebody who's professional and knows how to conduct themselves.
Okay, professionalism. Confidence.
That airport test.
Okay, I already told you guys all my tricks. Yeah. So there's really two things that are important to recruiters, and they're not really what you would expect. So I already spoiler alert you guys. But okay, so it's, can they show you off to their boss and to their clients? And are you cool to hang out with? Those are the two things that are important to them. And I've talked to recruiters about this a lot, and it's surprising. GPA is not that important. You don't even have to put it on your resume if it's below 3.5, remember? You don't have to put that on there. Experience is not that important. It's, can they show you off, and are you fun to hang out with? So this is really strange, right? This is a whole new concept, and if knowing this, now you're empowered to demonstrate those two skills on your one piece of paper, your resume, and your 20 minutes, your interview. So how do you demonstrate that you're show-offable? And why is that important, right? So they want to get promoted, they want to choose the right person. So to the recruiter, if you're really good at your job, and you're really competent, and you're doing great for the company, and you stay there for a long time, that makes them look good, right? So you want to be able to show off your recruiter and how great they did at choosing you. And then again, the airport test, right? So if you're stuck in an airport with somebody during a layover for 2 hours, are you going to be this guy and pretend to be asleep so you don't talk to them? Or are you going to talk to them, right? It's pretty simple. So there's a couple of things you can do to put on your resume and to make it in your interview to make you sound more interesting and to give you sort of an idea of your personality and make sure that is in tune with what the company's culture is. So when you go on the website to research the company, you can see what's interesting to them, what their community service projects are, read their press releases, go on their Facebook page. We talk about stalking. Like, I'm a huge stalker. So,
She is. She really, seriously, I've never seen anyone stalk a human being the way she can. It's incredible.
Ellie was on the team with me. So, yeah, like before any time I had an interview for a company, I would first go to like academic databases, and I would find out their stock prices, and I'd find out their history, and how many employees they had, if they were public or private, and how they've been traded, they've been acquired. First, I would do that. And then I would go into like their social sites. I'd go onto their Facebook and their Twitter and their see all their like employees' LinkedIn profiles and see what was cool to them. If they just done some recent community service project or they built a park for like at-risk youth in the inner city, I would talk about that in my interview. You better believe that. And if they had pictures on Facebook about some like doing an Olympic project for the new Olympics, I would talk about that for sure. And other people wouldn't even know about that. One time I watched one company had like a 12 days of Christmas video that was on their YouTube channel, and it was like the 12 days of this company, and each thing was a different piece of software that they had invented. And so I talked about like their number 5 thing or whatever it was, and they were like, what, you watched our 12 days of Christmas video on YouTube? And I was like, yes I did. And I'm ready to be in that video next year. So what is personal branding? It's what makes you stand out, right? So it's the green fish. I think that the essence of personal branding is just words. And it's just words that you own. So think about the words that you want to own. How do you want people to describe you? When somebody meets you, or you're describing your friends to somebody, how do you want them to describe you? What are the words you want to be used? And you have total control over what those words are, and you might not think that you do. But think about companies. Companies have control over the words that you use to describe them. So how would you guys describe Apple? What are the words you would
Awesome.
use? Awesome. What? Elite. Innovative. Expensive.
Fun.
Cool, fun. Okay, so these are like pretty common words, right? Streamlined, like cool, on the edge of what's happening. Like Apple told you those words, and they told you to think them when they associate with you. So what about Kia? We're all working with Kia now. Like, what are some words that we associate with Kia?
Affordable.
Fuel efficient, affordable, safe. These are words that they told us to think. So what are your words going to be? Think about what your words are going to be. So my word is charismatic. That's the word that I want people to think when they say, oh, you know, that Kelli girl is just really charismatic. That's what I really want my word to be. So what do? I live that word every day. And I try and do things that make people think that I would be more charismatic. And I live it. And so if you live your words every day, then those are the words that people are going to use to describe you. And that's personal branding. That's the whole thing. That's all it is. It's really simple. But I'm going to talk about how to use technology to make people think of those words with you. So there's a couple different things that you can do. Alright, so this is stalker cat. I already told you guys, I'm a really crazy stalker. So networking is great, right? Networking in person, going to these events, having your cards and your suit and doing your events, whatever, that's fine. But there's a lot of work that goes on before that. So LinkedIn is a really great tool. And so my whole philosophy is, if all this information is available to you on the internet for free, why wouldn't you use it to your advantage? Why wouldn't you want to be competitive with this information? If you can find out about the company picnic that they had last year, if you can find out about the 4 companies that your interviewer used to work for and why they left, if you can find out what someone looks like before you go meet them in a coffee shop for like a blind meeting, that makes everything less awkward actually, not more awkward. Because I don't know if you guys I've gone to like a bunch of like meetings where like, oh, just meet at Panera at 4 o'clock. Well, there's a lot of people in suits at Panera at 4 o'clock, and I have no idea which one is the person I'm supposed to meet with. So instead of me asking like, hi, I'm Kelli, like, are you gonna hire me today? I would look them up in my car on the way there on LinkedIn and figure out who it was and what their picture was, so I would know them when they walked in the door. And then it made everything less awkward because I could just wait and know when they came in. So there's a lot of benefits to being a stalker. Let's see.
Has it ever like scared anyone off, or like you say something that you didn't mean to let slip, like you knew too much and you said something and they kind of got like turned off by it?
So a word that people have used to describe me is intense. I've had interviewers say, like I was interviewing with Dale Carnegie one time, and the guy was like, I think I need a nap after talking to me. But I mean, like lots of like passionate energy. Like one girl described me as Red Bull red dress. Like that was how she described me. And I was like, I'll take it. Like that works for me. Like that's fine. So this is my website, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But these are some tips for how to use LinkedIn. So the first thing is setting up a profile, and then adding connections, and then adding tags for yourself, asking for recommendations, and then it talks about like some of the ways that you can use it to filter your searches. And I'm going to go through that in a minute.
Howdy, Kelli.
Yeah, I was just reading.
Okay. All right. So what is LinkedIn? So who does not have a LinkedIn profile? Seriously, guys. All right. Well, you all need to get one today. Like it's really important that you do this. So LinkedIn, the idea of LinkedIn is it's like the business version of Facebook, and the whole concept is that you're only ever 1 or 2 people away from the person that you want to meet. So let's go through an exercise.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Do you think that it's as important to have one before you have a job, or do you think it's equally as important like once you have a job to keep this like updated and relevant? Because like now that I had a job, I was like, I'm not gonna get one.
Okay. So after I got my job, I updated mine to say my new job, and first of all, people were like congratulating me, and I really like attention a lot. And so I was like, awesome, cool. And I measure like how many people look at my profile constantly, and so like that was one reason to keep it updated. Another reason is I'm still getting constantly like emails from recruiters saying like, hey, like don't you want to work for us? Like wouldn't you like to move and work for this other company? So I don't know, like I constantly, so if I'm unhappy in my job in 4 months, like I have 4 other companies that want me to work for them tomorrow.
Do you recommend the premium, or do you think just like the basic?
No, I don't pay for anything. Yeah, all my stalking is free. So let's see. All right. So if you're in, okay, so this is my friend Luis, and he is a little bit less crazy than me, but as successful, and so I thought he'd be a better example than my LinkedIn to show you guys. So he is like a really good user of LinkedIn and kind of a perfect example of how you guys should use it. So he just graduated from FSU this past semester. He had all kinds of crazy internships at like JP Morgan and doing investment stuff and finance things that I would not do. But he did a great job. And so he studied abroad in Panama and in China. And so while he was abroad, he was able to use LinkedIn to get all kinds of interviews for his internship. So I think he was like in China or Panama when he got his internship set up with JP Morgan for the summer. So he was abroad, and he said that the first thing that he would do, he was very systematic about it. He would go through and choose like all the companies that he wanted to do an internship for, do his research, and then find all the people on LinkedIn that he was possibly connected to, especially alumni. He'd reach out to them through email and let them know like, hey, I'm interested. Then he would try and call them or Skype them and get some kind of like meeting just to explore like what are some opportunities at your company, how can I get involved, stuff like that. And then he would build relationships with them to get the interview. It's the same thing in sales, right? It's the same thing about getting the interview and then having it get to closing the sale, and that's getting the job. So he's a really good example. So he's got 247 connections, pretty good. He's got his work experience, he's got the schools that he studied at, Panama and Tianjin. He's got his public profile. He was like featured on Blackboard, so he's got, that website is the article that they wrote about him. This is like, okay, so on Twitter, you can tag things, so you do hashtags for stuff. If you guys are on Twitter, you can like hashtag yourself, right? So those words that you want people to associate with yourself, you can literally put them on the internet and tag yourself. So perfect, right? Like people are gonna use these words to describe him. So these are mostly like skills, but you can also put like sales skills. You can say marketing expert, you can say social media guru, whatever you want to say, you can literally tag yourself with these skills. You put the languages that he speaks, his education, and then he's got clubs that he was in, and then associations. So it's really easy to join these groups. You guys should all join the FSU College Business Group. You can join the alumni group when you graduate. You can join like other professional associations that you're a part of, and it's really easy. So, all right, what's a company that somebody wants to work for? Yes.
Vogue.
Vogue? All right, publishing. There we go. I find out who named Vogue. Okay, so within my network, I have 2 people that work for Vogue. So this girl is an intern in New York City, and I'm connected through, this is the guy that I stalked at that dinner for like a long time, this guy, Craig Ramsey. And this is advertising sales assistant in also New York, and I'm connected through this kid, Justin. So if I want to talk to either of those 2 people, I would just email Justin or Craig and say, hey, like I really want to get in touch with this girl. She's a fashion editor in New York, and like, can you connect me? And that's just one button they have to click to make the connection. If you want to see all of their employees, you can look at all of them. And so what I would do is search through all the employees, so see more employees, and then I would think what city, that was the most important qualifier for me, was what city do I want to be in? And so I would choose like Boston or whatever, but you probably want to be New York City. So these are all the people that work for Vogue in New York City. Then I would go through and see which one of them are in any kind of role where they're a recruiter or a talent acquisition manager or somebody that hires people. That's what I would try and find. So art director, marketing and advertising, copy director, fashion writer. So I would either try and find that my first choice would be a recruiter. My second choice would be the person that has the job that I want. And so I would call them and say, hey, like, can I be your assistant? Like, what's up? I want to be your friend. Literally, I've done that a lot, actually. So, all right, what's another? Let's do Pepsi because they're one of our sponsors. So, if you wanted to work for Pepsi, there's a lot of FSU alumni. So you can see there's 22 people that graduated from FSU that now work for Pepsi. And so what you can do then is alumni are going to be much more receptive to helping you out and like helping all out. I did that a lot. So now you can reach out to these people and ask them for help and ask them to connect you. Even if you're not connected to anybody, that's one way to get in touch with them. So one company that I really wanted to work for was Glassdoor. And Glassdoor is a website that I was using to stalk people. So Glassdoor.com, let's go through it for you guys.
You need an FBI.
So Glassdoor.com helps you compare salaries. So if you wanted to see what a Vogue editor makes in New York City, so this is Magazine Radar. So this is not, maybe this is the holding company. Vogue is not a huge company. It looks like they have less than 5,000 employees. But let's see if you wanted to do like Pepsi. So if you wanted to work for Pepsi, you can go to the company overview. It'll tell you who their competitors are, all about their company. You can read employee reviews about the company, so what other employees are saying. And most importantly, you can read salaries. So that's what I would be looking at. Find your job that you want to do. No video is good. Awesome. Okay, so find your job that you want to do and look up how much the salary is, what their review is. You can see what kind of interview questions they have, all kinds of stuff. So I was on this website like 20 hours a week doing research, like intense stuff. So finally I was like, I just want to work for them. So I went on LinkedIn and I typed in Glassdoor and I saw that I had a girl that worked there that was connected with Pat actually, and she was on the sales team like 4 years ago. So I called her up and I was like, hey Kate, like my name is Kelly. Well, first I looked her up on LinkedIn, and then she saw that I looked at her on LinkedIn, and I looked at all of her coworkers. So when you, the difference between
so she can actually see that?
So the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn is that you can see who looks at your profile and they can see who looks at yours. So my page was viewed 6 times in the last 3 days and showed up 36 times in the last week. So these are all the people that if you pay for the subscription, you can see all